This is a variation on the seated row. The difference here is we have a slightly different hand position. So setup is feet flat on the floor, toes pointing forward, and knee over our second toe. In the spine, we have neutral lumbar, nice thoracic extension, and alignment of the ear over the shoulder. Chris, if you could reach the handles for me, please. Then you're going to get yourself set in that neutral spine position. Excellent. From there, I'd like you to bring the handles back. And notice Chris gets really good activation through his rhomboids and his trapezius. The shoulders stay nice and level. They're not hiking up. We're not letting the upper trapezius dominate the movement. We're using lower and mid as well as the upper. Try and keep the head nice and still. Think about your core as well. And we have neutral spine throughout. We do not flex in the lumbar. We just get a nice activation through thoracic extension and then that activation or the retraction of the scapula. What we'll do now is we'll show you a few compensations. So Chris, could you show me a couple of different compensations? So the first compensation, you might see the head poke forward, loss of alignment for the cervical spine. You might just see a flexion forward, so we're losing extension through the thoracic region. Lastly, you might just see that we're getting a range of motion. It looks like it's coming back as far as it should. However, Chris is not actually using his rhomboids and trapezius correctly here. Hold that position. So he's just using his arms. At this position, now correct this. Squeeze for me. Elbows a little bit higher and retract back. Squeeze my fingers. So now we've corrected it. You can see the difference. He's much more open, lengthening the pecs, getting much better activation here and lower down. Just two good repetitions to finish off on. Try and keep your forearms parallel to the ground the whole time. So we're not going to let the elbows rotate down or rotate too high up. They're just going to stay parallel. If your client struggles with that, you can adjust the seat height to make sure they can get that position comfortably without those shoulders elevating up. Now Chris is able to do that, but he's very coordinated, he's very body aware. But that's probably going to be a main coaching point for people. Shoulders level and getting that retraction of those scapula. So you always can go hands on and say squeeze if you need to. So again, just squeeze there, fantastic. Obviously, if you go hands on the client, always ask the permission and let them know why you're doing it, especially as a gym instructor. As a personal trainer, we expect these sort of things to happen to make sure you get the best movement possible for your client. And Chris, you can relax there. That's excellent. So that's a variation on the seated row.